Good morning. This is Sergio Lanes Vasquez, and this is Uncovering the Secrets of the Human Brain Model with Dr. Stevens. The brain model. Neurologist Paul D. McLean. So a little bit of context about him. He is the man who created the limbic system. So it is give credit to him to why we are studying the brain as of today, and MIT has created some a good model of it, and it is to give credit to, like I said, Paul D. McLean. Um, so a little bit about the brain. It's our puppet master. It's like our puppet master. It controls everything from what we think to what how we respond, our emotions, even listening and hearing and also reading this presentation here is all thanks to the brain. The brain does have two hemispheres, and the entire brain is in charge of emotion, hearing. Everything that you do is what the brain essentially does. And the image here above shows a like a diagram of the brain. This is a simplistic diagram, as there are um more to the brain, but these are the three main parts, which is the cerebellum, the cerebrum, and the brainstem. The picture at the bottom is Paul D. McLean himself, and that's it for this slide. The cerebrum. The cerebrum is split into four lobes, as it does take 85% of the brain, two hemispheres, so there are two sets of these four lobes. The picture below does show the next two lobes that we are going to speak about, the frontal and the parietal. The frontal is the largest of the cerebrum. It is in charge of decisions, smell attribution, and personality. By smell attribution, I mean like how you link smells to different objects, like the smell of warm pizza to warm pizza. And it is linked to the ability with the ability to speak. The parietal lobe is like the association lobe. It communicates with the other lobes, and it is responsible for processing um, our taste, temperature, or entities or pain. So, like if you were to see your teacher, your brain processes that and like says, "Oh, that's a teacher," and then the rest of your brain is in charge of what you do next. It is linked to understanding languages, spoken languages. And that's it for this slide. The cerebrum continued. This image below does show the next two lobes that we're going to speak about, the temporal and the occipital. The temporal lobe is in charge of sound, so it accounts for memory, speech, musical rhythm, and some degree of balance and smell. There are more parts of the brain that will be in charge of the balance, so that is how they all work together. The occipital lobe, this lobe is pure vision. So when you see in the animations, that's a note to take. In the animations, when people see stars, it it is proven because if you were to get hit on the back of your head, you would see a flash of white light because they are essentially hitting your occipital lobe. That's it for this slide. The cerebellum. The cerebellum is another major part of your brain that sits under the temporal and occipital lobe and above the brainstem. It is made of neurons, and it stays in touch with the cerebrum as well. So what this does is balance, equilibrium, muscle movement, posture, coordination, and talking. The image here does show how it's under the two lobes and the brainstem. Um, Today's studies are um, examining its function with emotion and social behavior. So how you act in the social world and how you cope with emotions. Next, but not least, is the brainstem. The brainstem is made of three parts, as a matter of fact. So it's the midbrain, pons, and medulla. The picture here does show the three major parts and its place inside of the brain. The midbrain is movement, hearing, environmental change awareness. The pons is the origin of the 12 cranial nerves, and it is responsible for blinking, vision, eating, like focusing your vision when you see things from far away, sort of thing, and facial expression. The medulla, last but not least, this part accounts for involuntary and reflexive bodily activities. So what I mean by that is involuntary is the things that you don't know that's happening, but it's actually happening. Like breathing, your heartbeat, your blood pressure, and reflexive activities like sneezing, because involuntary is like it's necessary, but you don't know that's happening. And reflexive is like a response, is like your your instincts, because if like germs were to get inside your nose, you would sneeze it out. um and that's it for this slide. Thing thing is, the pons, I didn't mention it, but it is called the bridge because it connects the midbrain and the medulla together. Fun fact is that the left hemisphere of your brain controls the right side of your body, and the right hemisphere controls the left side of your body. Um, it's, I wouldn't say it's obvious, but the brain, it's still not fully understood, uncovered. What I mean is like it's self-explanatory. Like the brain is so complex, we cannot possibly at this moment like just know everything about the brain. We know like the even the basic things we understand, but if we were to go much more complex into it, it would be rather difficult to explain. The brain generates about 12 to 25 watts of electricity, and they still operate far better than computers and AI models like ChatGPT, Gemini, OpenAI, like things of that sort, because they use tons of water and electricity just to operate. But the brain, for such a small amount of electricity, it's more like a bargain for what we get, um, and what we get to do. The cerebellum is also called the little brain, huge responsibilities, and things of sort of like that. Last fun fact is the brainstem is connected to the spinal cord, and the spinal cord is what communicates with the rest of the body. So if your brain knows that your body's freezing, it's gonna be like, hey, you're freezing and stuff, and they like get goosebumps and things. Um, and that's it for this slide. Last, but definitely not least, are references. Um, I would have spoken about the references in the previous slides, but I think it's better to speak about it right now. I do have four sources, and there are two in particular: Mumu Math and Science and Peekaboo Kids. Very credible sources and very educational, although for kids, but still facts. Blackstock also explained about Paul MacLean more in depth, and Johns Hopkins Medicine. Um, Much of the information that I got for this presentation came from this. Didn't have a published date, so ND, always APA 7, and that's it. Thank you for watching and have a blessed day. Thank you.